quasars. Okay, so a full head virgin application, you're going to be applying to your mid-lengths and ends before your root. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply to the mid-lengths and ends. We're going to let it develop for half of the development time. Then we're going to go back and paint on the root area. Okay, so for starters, first section you pick up, we're going to literally paint that colour on. And you're going to leave about an inch section at the root. Okay. So you're going to do it a bit like how we used it last week for your quasi, and obviously the week before with your semi application, and like your conditioning treatment application. So the same, you're going to be working across those 4 sections in very small subsections. And then just literally nice small sections, so you're making sure you're getting all of that hair covered. What would happen if you were doing bigger sections? Yes, so you might miss some bits. So obviously if you were doing quite a drastic colour change, obviously that's going to be quite noticeable. So you're going to take nice small sections. All the way down, so mid-lengths and ends. So this is actually, I always think, quite a similar application to when you're doing a conditioning treatment on someone who's got oil, someone who's perhaps got an oily scalp and dry ends. You're going to be avoiding that root area to start with. And you'll notice as I'm painting it on, I'm just using my hand just to rub that through and make sure that it's all through that section before I move on. All the way through there. So just to reiterate, so if you were to, you might generally use this for a virgin application, so someone who's never had any colour. So it could be the first colour application. You also might use this if you were doing like a bright red colour. What do you think would happen if you painted sort of a red colour all the way through the hair straight away and left it on hair that perhaps had a regrowth?
Roots be brighter than the rest.
Yeah. So obviously sometimes if you've got a regrowth, obviously that hair at the root area has had a lot less treatment on it. So if you paint that all the way through, what happens is what we like to call root glow. And it's basically when the hair at the root is much brighter than the rest of the hair. So obviously this application just gives that hair a chance to develop through the mid-lengths and ends, because what will happen is it doesn't need quite so much time sometimes on the root area. So if you were to paint it on all the way through straight away, those roots really sort of start to really grab on that, and they get a nice bright, vibrant root, and sometimes the mid-lengths and ends don't match. So it's a good way to sort of try and avoid that really. My section's entirely straight there, so I do apologise. Then what I'm going to do when you're working today, I'm not going to tell you development time. I want you to have a look and read, like I said, get your little packet out, read the manufacturer's instructions and find out how long your development time is. Okay. Obviously, I'm using Majorelle. Today you're not going to be using Majorelle, you're going to be using the Colliston. So my Majorelle development time is 35 minutes. So but obviously bearing in mind I'm going to have to go back over and apply to the root area.
Is that from when you put it on from the roots?
No, that's from, I'm going to time it, what I was just going to say. I'm going to time it, going to let the mid-lengths and ends have a chance to develop a bit. Then I'm going to go back through and apply to my root area. So what I'm going to do is, as my development time's 35 minutes, I'm going to allow it to have 15 minutes on the ends, and then I'm going to go back through and apply to the root and leave it for the further 20 minutes of the development time. Okay, so I'm breaking the development time up.
So you do that 15 minutes from the last bit you do the last one you do?
Yeah. So with tint, obviously, because this is a permanent tint, as opposed to bleach or anything like that, the tint will just stop working. So once it's had its development time, it will just stop working. Okay, so therefore obviously you time from the last piece that you put on, so it's all had your 35 minutes or whatever the development time is.
It's the stripping Santas. They're coming to our Christmas dinner.
So just while I'm running through this, guys, just wanted to talk to you quickly about your client session on Saturday. Just to remind you that you can bring models in the morning for any of your blow drying units, any of your shampooing units, blow drying, setting, anything as long as it isn't chemical work you can be doing. Only up until Christmas, your models will be paying £5 no matter what you do. So if you come in and they only have one thing done, it's £5. If you come in and you do conditioning treatment, a set, a blow dry, a put up, plaiting, twisting, it'll just be, each person will just pay £5. Okay, and obviously that will only happen up till Christmas. After Christmas, it will go on so that everything will be charged individually. But just to reiterate, no chemical work, so just blow drying, cutting if you feel that you're ready to do it, cutting, setting, any of those sorts of units. And any of you who did manage to get some done on Saturday will realise you do club together quite a few units. So just doing sort of even just a blow dry, you'll obviously get your GH8, which is your shampooing. You may well get health and safety, you might get a consultation, you'll group together quite a few units, so it's well worth trying to find someone to come in. And obviously those of you who haven't got anyone to come in or you can't, obviously you can practice on each other or you can bring a tuition head and practice. Any of the cuts that you maybe want to go back over, we're using it very much like a workshop session, so you can go back over what you're, if there's anything that just worrying you that you think, that was quite a while ago now, I want to recap that. It's a perfect time to have, a little bit of one-to-one and go back over things. Can you?
Can I bring him?
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, I can help you through.
The machine?
Yeah. Show you how to configure it.
Wonderful. I have the machine. I want to use.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good.
So what we're going to do, because on Saturday, it worked okay because the session in the morning ran over a little bit. So those of you who were still working carried on working, and then because we were repeating our second cut, everyone sort of worked through that cut at their own pace then, which was fine. But obviously this week we're going to be going over a new cut, so you're going to need to be on time with that. So we're going to, where we can, we're going to try and obviously tie it up and not have anyone running over this week. Well,
So what's the latest our clients can come in, Rach?
Depends what you're doing, really. I mean, if you get them in nice and early, I would say sort of last week they came in, because obviously we have an 8:30 start, they were coming in from sort of 9 o'clock onwards, and that worked quite well. Most people had finished by the time we broke up for lunch. But I mean, there's nothing to say that we can, that session in the morning can run over sort of half an hour, and then we can go off for lunch, and quite possibly the afternoon session can be made slightly smaller so we can get it all in. So but obviously what we will need to do is all stop at the same time. Right. But I think you all did really, did you all sort of quite enjoy your first attempts on your paper? It's quite good, isn't it? So as you can see, we're obviously applying this like last week with our clothes on, it's going on dry hair, we're not pre-washing that. Turn it round, so I'm on my last section now, my spot.
Did you use the whole tube for that, Rachel?
I used half a tube, I just used half a tube.
And is that now?
We're going to go back through that because the root is going to, it's going to take quicker than the mid-lengths and ends. So we're
How did he
going to
get
find
on
the
last
mid-lengths and ends first
last week? How did
to
he
let
get
them
on?
develop
Yeah,
for a while, and then we'll go back through and apply to the
I've
root.
got 14 items signed up.
If you were doing a full head,
Huh?
How much do you need to get
yeah, the
past?
first time.
You have to do everything 3 times.
You have done only once.
Yeah.
Did you do shampooing,
Done shampoo, conditioning, a blow dry, heated rollers,
Always change the colour.
health and safety, and consultation.
One whole.
Yeah.
A different colour, thank you. If you were doing a different colour.
And it paid £5.
But really, this is specifically a virgin, so it's more appropriate if the client didn't have any colour on their hair whatsoever.
Are you allowed to bring people into there?
I don't have any. I asked one of our friends of Montana and she agreed to come on Saturday.
The roots. Yeah,
So this
we're going to go on
Saturday.
to root regrowth next week, so you'll learn from
You
that
nervous?
next week.
I am waiting.
Obviously, for this week, I want you to all have a go at this application. So you're going to go through,
You'll be fine.
let them have a little bit of their development time.
Are you doing anything this week?
Yeah, I've got another friend coming in.
The same?
No, different friend. I'm going to do
Development time without
set on this one now. I'm going to do it in rollers like yours.
It's always
She's got a lot of hair like you as well.
it's always better to do no heat. Obviously, it's far kinder to the hair. You can use heat if you need to speed it up. So if you were in a sort of salon situation where you needed it to take a bit quicker, you can obviously pop it under heat and it halves the time. So 10 minutes under your climate zone will be like 20 minutes out of it.
Next week?
When are you doing your
Yeah, I was like that. It's 1 o'clock. It's at 1 or
Oh yeah, yeah, we still have an normal lesson.
Don't worry about it. It's only training
Well, if people come to class, they wouldn't have to video. Zoom into Rachel's bum.
Yeah, no, I've got it done great, and I finally covered that. What happened is I just had the money to do it and thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. No, it wasn't painful. I don't hear it at all. Expensive. Expensive. More than I would like to have paid, obviously, but
Everything is expensive.
yeah, no, it's well worth the money. Well worth it. Right, so you can see I finished my application.